Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Reincarnation for All. I Can Amplify Everything. Chapter 31. Subduing Demon Mahamudra. Facing the two corpse puppets coming to slaughter, Su Hao volleyed out with both palms, and the huge phantom dragon elephant behind him let out a roar that shook the sky, and its two front hooves followed Su Hao's movements. Raise it high, and step forward. Bang bang. Amid the two loud bangs, the entire golden dragon palace trembled. The two corpse puppets flew upside down as if they were crushed by tens of thousands of caddies of divine power. Their hands, feet, and heads were separated from their bodies, and they were beaten to pieces. It fell heavily on the ground, and the body trembled for a while and stopped moving. How so? The heavenly corpse master muttered to himself, lost his mind. His proud support was just a piece of paper in front of Su Hao, which was easily destroyed. Escape! Escape! The demonic warriors such as the Mad Heart King had already reacted, turned around and fled without hesitation. The strength Su Hao showed was completely at the level of a dragon master, and they were not able to compete at all. These sorcerers turned around and ran away, and Master Tianxi also reacted and wanted to turn around and run away, but how could Su Hao let them go? Mysterious Yin sword intent. With a slight movement of his thoughts, a total of 12 Xuanian sword intent spewed out from Su Hao's body. They quickly shuttled through the air, turning into divine swords, and slashed towards those demon warriors. Puff! King Guangxin roared and punched out, intending to smash the Xuanian sword intent that was aimed at him. His strength was stronger than that of Demon Quang. He was a rare warrior in the world, but at this time he screamed. The Xuanian sword intent passed through the body, and died suddenly on the spot. Forgive me! Forgive me! The heavenly corpse master begged for mercy, and some cursed angrily, but none of them could change their ending. Puff puff. Driven by Su Hao's master-level cultivation base, the Xuanian sword intent is invincible, shuttling back and forth, and each of the world-renowned big devils is completely like a chicken and a dog, pierced through the heart by the Xuanian sword intent, passing through the head. Without exception, screams can be heard endlessly. After a few breaths, everything came to a stillness, and all the demon warriors turned into corpses all over the place. The blood stained the hall red, and the smell of blood filled the air. How did this happen? Only one person survived at the scene, and that was the second Prince Sha Yu. Sha Yu's two battles, staring blankly at the corpses in this place, the fall of Cao Tiangong, and the great help of the magic warriors, made Sha Yu feel that this usurpation of the throne must be sure, but now he relies on the magic powers. All of them were slaughtered by the young man in front of him. Su Hao looked back at the stunned ministers of the great Sha dynasty, and said calmly, "It's safe now." Sha Huang came back to his senses, with excitement and respect on his face. He bowed deeply to Su Hao. "Thank you, Lord Martial God, for dispelling today's power and beheading these monsters." The majestic Emperor Sha, facing Su Hao at this moment, is extremely respectful and keeps his posture very low. He is a smart man who understands what it means to be a 20-year-old master of dragon transformation, and can guarantee the prosperity of the great Sha dynasty for 1,000 years. In the face of such characters, it is necessary to lower your posture. Emperor Sha even called Su Hao the martial god. Indeed, it has never been seen since ancient times that Su Hao became a master of dragon transformation at the age of 20. Only the martial god deserves him. Well, it's easy to do. Su Hao nodded slightly. He was just fulfilling the promise that Cao Tiangong gave him 1,000 years of skill before. God bless me Daxia. All the ministers were extremely happy. Cao Tiangong, the patron saint, passed away, and the great Sha dynasty was in jeopardy. But at this time Su Hao appeared, and his power was beyond everyone's expectations. With him, the great Sha dynasty would be destroyed within 1,000 years. Worry-free. Send these corpses to the place where I live. Su Hao said something to everyone, then turned and left. Su Hao returned to the palace where he lived, and the bodies of those strong demons were brought over soon after. And Su Hao began to refine the cultivation base of those strong demons, but to Su Hao's helplessness, he got very little. With my current level of cultivation, unless I am a master of dragon transformation, it will not help me at all. The skills in the bodies of these three corpses have long since dissipated. Su Hao sighed. Now that Su Hao has become a master of dragon transformation, even if he is a congenital martial artist, it is of little help to him. As for masters of dragon transformation, there are not many masters in this world, and every one of them is among the gods' list. Concentrate on cultivation, eager to go further. The 3 corpse puppets brought by the master of the heavenly corpse had died for too long, and the power in their bodies had already dissipated, so Su Hao didn't get any benefit. Su Hao also deeply felt Cao Tiangong's helplessness. After reaching the level of Dragon Transformation Grandmaster, it is indeed even more difficult to make further progress. It is already the limit of what this world can achieve. Is the Dragon Master really the limit? Su Hao secretly thought. As a reincarnated person, he knows that there is no limit to being strong, and the limit is to be constantly broken through. And the reason why he can't break through the limit is because his own strength is not enough. Since it is not enough, then continue to become stronger. My dragon elephant golden body still has room for improvement. It only condenses the phantom of 1 dragon elephant, and it can also condense the phantoms of 12 dragon elephants. Su Hao started a new retreat practice. After reaching the realm of Dragon Transformation Master, there is no one in this world who can threaten Su Hao. Su Hao feels a kind of loneliness, the loneliness of the strong. Without an opponent, without the blood of the past, it feels very lonely to be high above the ground. What Su Hao can do is to constantly strengthen himself. He will try to hit an unprecedented level and reach a level that no one in this world can reach. Otherwise, if Su Hao returned to the main world now, his achievements would be about the same as Cao Tiangong's. Even the master of Hualong would be forgotten for a long time after his death, and his impact on this world would be limited. And the achievement that Su Hao wants to achieve is to truly leave a name in history, and will never be forgotten in this reincarnation world. Chapter 32. What followed was a long period of penance. 10 years later, Su Hao's skill has improved, and he successfully condensed the 2nd dragon elephant phantom. Although he didn't make rapid progress like before, his strength progress is still very stable. This kind of penance for 10 years is indeed very lonely. Even Su Hao thought about returning to the main world like this. Anyway, with the height he has reached, the evaluation of this trial will definitely not be low. But Su Hao remembered about the reincarnations. Many reincarnated people have gone through worlds without falling into these worlds, but in the end they chose to commit suicide. The fundamental reason is that they cannot bear the long time. A world often goes through decades or even hundreds of years. Some reincarnated people are tired of living. Even if they have great strength, they choose to kill themselves. Su Hao doesn't want to end up like this. It's only been 10 years. I couldn't bear to return to the main world, and it was too much a waste of my talent. Constantly break through the limit, go beyond the limit. This is Su Hao's wish. Lord Valkyrie, today is your 30th birthday, and many gifts have been sent from all parties. When Su Hao was 30 years old, Shangguan Nan came and said respectfully. Su Hao's status in the Great Xia dynasty is now very high. Although he is only 30 years old and very young, all parties want to please him, so they have sent many gifts. A gift. Let's take a look. Su Hao also happened to be bored, so he decided to take a look at the treasures collected from various parties. Looking at the mountains of treasures outside the house, Su Hao was also a little speechless. It seems that the Emperor Xia and his officials of the Great Xia dynasty had put a lot of thought into it. Su Hao checked it out, and found that there were all kinds of treasures, such as priceless jewels, which were meaningless to Su Hao, and there were also martial arts cheats collected. That's not bad. Suddenly, Su Hao's eyes lit up slightly, and he saw that among the treasures, there was a plant of ginseng. This ginseng was about 3 feet long, and it was placed in a jade box. Shangguan Nan smiled and said, "This is a 1,000-year-old ginseng sent by King Zhenan, which is also very beneficial to warriors. Well, thank him for me, and I'll accept it." Su Hao's heart moved and he nodded slightly. Then Shangguan Nan left. Su Hao looked at this 1,000-year-old ginseng and pondered. This 1,000-year-old ginseng is a great tonic for warriors and can improve their cultivation, but it is actually useless for the master of dragon transformation, but through me the increase in all things may be able to play a certain role on me. 1,000-year-old ginseng is very precious, and it can reach the level of a master of dragon transformation. These things are basically useless, but Su Hao has the talent to amplify all things and can amplify it. As a master of dragon transformation, Su Hao has a lifespan of 1,000 years, so he can increase it without any hesitation. Ding! Do you want to consume 20 years of life to use the boost of all things on the target? Amplify. Su Hao chose to augment the Millennium Ginseng. Ding! Trigger a 30-fold increase, and the 1,000-year-old ginseng will be strengthened into a 1,000-year spiritual ginseng. In the sound of the system prompt, the 1,000-year-old ginseng in Su Hao's hand has undergone a huge change. It was just an ordinary ginseng, but now it has a trace of aura, turning it from an ordinary thing into a spiritual thing. This world belongs to the world of low martial arts, and the aura is thin. It is impossible to grow spiritual things, but under my amplification, it turns into a spiritual thing that only exists in the world of cultivating immortals. Su Hao's eyes lit up. In the world of low-level martial arts, there are some treasures that can improve skills, such as 1,000-year-old ginseng and 100-year-old Ganoderma lucidum, but Su Hao's enhancement of all things can turn them into heaven and earth spiritual things similar to those in the world of cultivating immortals. This is amazing. I'm completely able to manufacture heaven and earth spirits in large quantities to speed up my cultivation and achieve true invincibility. There was a smile on the corner of Su Hao's mouth. He didn't know enough about his own amplification of everything, but there was no way to do it. Using it once would consume 20 years of his lifespan, and his previous lifespan was not enough for several amplifications. Now that he has become a master of dragon transformation, and his lifespan has been increased by 1,000 years, he can use the amplification of everything around 50 times. Su Hao immediately found Shangguan Nan and told him that he needed these treasures that could improve his cultivation. These treasures are very precious, but if Lord Martial God wants them, he will do his best to get them. Shangguan Nan promised. Well, I'm not in a hurry. Su Hao nodded slightly. 1,000-year-old ginseng is already a priceless treasure, and only some princes and ministers are eligible to enjoy it, but as Su Hao, the great Xia dynasty will try its best to satisfy him. In the following time, rare natural treasures were sent to Su Hao's palace: Tianshan snow lotus, century-old blood ginseng, 1,000-year-old fleece flower root. Ding! Trigger a 40-fold increase, and the century-old blood ginseng will be strengthened into a century-old blood ginseng king. Ding! Trigger a 60-fold increase. Tianshan snow lotus will be strengthened into Tianshan Shanlian. These treasures are of great value to ordinary warriors, and they are better than nothing to Su Hao and other masters of dragon transformation, but they can be turned into treasures with Su Hao's talent for increasing all things. Under Su Hao's amplification of all things, the ordinary precious medicines turned into panacea plants. Su Hao spent a lot of life to stimulate the talent of all things to increase. In the end, Su Hao only had a lifespan of more than 100 years, and he was replaced by about 40 elixir from the increase, which should not have appeared in this low-level weapon, the panacea of the world. Start practicing. Su Hao swallowed a whole 1,000-year-old ginseng in one gulp. Immediately, a spiritual energy grew in his body. This spiritual energy was so huge that even Su Hao, who is a master of dragon transformation, would have to spend a year or two to refine it. Su Hao, who has reached the pinnacle of this world, is detached, and the most indispensable thing is time for practice. He quietly refines the 1,000-year-old spiritual ginseng to make himself stronger. 2 years later, this 1,000-year-old spiritual ginseng was completely refined by Su Hao. His skill increased a bit, and he even condensed the phantom of the fourth dragon elephant. 2 years of painstaking practice. The benefits of refining the 1,000-year-old spiritual ginseng are equivalent to the progress of 100 or 200 years of normal practice. Su Hao felt the growing power in his body, and a slight smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. This spiritual object, which should only be possessed by the world of Shanja, is simply a fairy medicine for people in the world of martial arts, and its help is unimaginable. Continue. For 100 years, I want to go beyond the limit. Su Hao is full of motivation. This feeling of becoming stronger every day at a speed visible to the naked eye is really good and fascinating. Chapter 33. Su Hao spent a lot of his lifespan using the talent to increase all things, and he only has 100 years of life left. Before the end of his lifespan, he has to reach a state that no one in this world can reach, complete a feat, affect the entire reincarnation world, and then return to the main world with perfect merit. A 1,000-year-old spiritual ginseng was refined, and Su Hao took out a century-old blood ginseng, swallowed it, and refined it. Su Hao spent 90% of his life to strengthen 40 elixir plants similar to the 1,000-year-old ginseng. 1,000-year-old ginseng allowed him to increase his normal practice for 200 years, and now there are 39 plants left woolen cloth. Su Hao retreated and practiced hard, and he had to complete the detachment in the remaining 100 years. Su Hao believes that there must be a more powerful realm above the Grand Master of Dragon Transformation. The reason why there is no one is that no one can reach it. As long as he continues to be strong, he can always touch and break through this limit. As time goes by, because of Su Hao's existence, the battle at the Golden Dragon Palace killed many top powerhouses of the demonic Tao. In addition, the current Emperor Sha is very capable and wise. A rare prosperity. And Su Hao doesn't care about all of this. He spends every day retreating and practicing in the palace, refining the amplified spirits, strengthening himself, and reaching a level that no one can achieve. The Phantom of the 5th Dragon Elephant Condensed. The Phantom of the 6th Dragon Elephant Condensed. Su Hao has reached the 9-yin mantra of 9-yin Guiyuan, and his internal strength is also steadily improving, achieving a leap beyond the reach of other dragon masters. As the years passed, Su Hao felt that he had forgotten the passage of time, but the wrinkles on the face of Shangguan Nan, who was familiar with him, and the maids who served him had changed several times, but Su Hao remained the same as before. It looks like a boy. But Su Hao's delicate and handsome face also has a trace of stability. This is already 100 years after he came to this world. Boom. With a slight movement of Su Hao's mind, a 13th dragon elephant phantom was born on his body surface. Just like stacking boxes, the more you practice, the more difficult it is. At first 10 years of hard work can condense a dragon elephant phantom, but later it takes hundreds of thousands of years to condense a dragon elephant phantom. And with the help of each elixir, this time was shortened hundreds of times. Dragon elephants fluttered in phantom, each of which was the condensation of pure physical strength. The dragon elephant golden body breaks through the limit and reaches perfection. Not only that, Su Hao practiced penance for 100 years, and took a bunch of elixir during this period, but it made him equivalent to 10,000 years of penance. The aptitude of a 1,000-year-old evildoer and the skill of 10,000 years are simply unprecedented. Although Su Hao's Juyin mantra is still in the state of Juyin Guiyuan, every muscle, every inch of his bones and muscles, all of them contain majestic aura. Today's Su Hao is so powerful, it's unbelievable. I am now, with nearly 10,000 years of skill, definitely the strongest in the history of this world. Even if other dragon masters are in front of me, I can suppress them with one hand. Su Hao also secretly sighed how powerful he is now. The 9-yin Guiyuan limit is perfect, and the dragon elephant golden body condenses 13 dragon elephant phantoms, and each dragon phantom can burst out at will with the power equivalent to a full strength blow of a dragon master. With Su Hao's current strength, he has surpassed all warriors in the history of this world, even the master of dragon transformation. In front of him, he is just a chicken and a dog, Su Hao can easily crush. I faintly feel that boundary. What makes Su Hao even more excited is that he can feel that there is a sense of summoning in the dark void. This feeling is very strange, as if Su Hao's strength is no longer tolerated by this world. He was repelled and wanted to exclude him from this world. Su Hao understood that this feeling might be the legendary broken void, ascending to the immortal world. If I shatter the void, will I still be able to ascend from one reincarnated world to another? Su Hao was also curious, is there still an operation to ascend from one reincarnated world to another? Su Hao didn't know, because in a world of low martial arts, the teachers of the academy didn't even mention it. This kind of situation is absolutely unique, and it's so rare among reincarnators. Okay, after a bit of cultivation and reaching the peak state of mind and state, I can try to open the door in the nether void and really make a limit jump. 100 years later, Su Hao refined all 40 heaven and earth spirits, and now he has to wait for a while, and then try to break the void, ascend, and return to the main world. Su Hao's time in this world is running out, so Su Hao stopped retreating and wandered around the imperial city. Master Valkyrie. Seeing Su Hao, countless people saluted respectfully. As the only dragon master in the imperial city, Su Hao is the patron saint of the great Xia dynasty and has a transcendent status. It's been 100 years since I came to this world in a blink of an eye, longer than I have lived in the main world. Su Hao secretly smiled bitterly. He has lived in the main world for 18 years, but he has lived in this world for hundreds of years. But no matter how many years have passed in the reincarnation world, only one day will pass in the main world. Just when Su Hao was thinking, a strangeness appeared in his eyes, and he felt two strong auras, and he unconsciously raised his head to look at the sky. In the sky, there are two shadows approaching at high speed. Grand Master is the Grand Master of Dragon Transformation. In the Imperial City, the eyes of the people who saw this scene showed horror. Being able to fly in the air is an ability only possessed by the Dragon Transformation Grand Masters. The two figures flying towards the sky at extremely high speed are clearly two Dragon Transformation Grand Masters. These two Dragon Masters are not young, one is an old man with white hair, and the other is a middle-aged Taoist priest in Taoist robes. They are obviously coming towards Su Hao. Two Dragon Masters are here. Who are they? In the Imperial City, pairs of eyes looked at the sky in amazement. Grandmaster Huolong, in this world, already belong to the gods of the land. Each of them is detached, almost ignores the things in the mundane, and seeks detachment with all his heart, but now there are two at once, something must have happened. This way. As soon as the two Dragon Masters sensed it, they quickly came towards Su Hao's direction, felt Su Hao's breath, and slowly landed in front of Su Hao. The white-haired old man and the middle-aged Taoist all looked Su Hao up and down, and secretly admired in their hearts. Su Hao is too young, completely different from them old people. Chapter 34. Your Excellency is Su Hao, the martial god of the great Xia dynasty. The white-haired old man asked. Who are you two? What are you doing? Su Hao asked back. He was also surprised because these were the other two Dragon Masters he had met in this world besides Cao Tiangong. The middle-aged Taoist priest on the left cupped his hands and introduced the two of them. The poor Taoist is a flashy Taoist, and he is Brother Nantian. Fantasy Taoist, Southern Heaven Sword God. The two reported their names, and Su Hao was quite surprised when he heard that. Vanity Taoist, Nantian Sword God, this is the famous Dragon Transformation Grand Master. Like Cao Tiangong, he is on the list of gods and belongs to the detached figure. The difference with Cao Tiangong is that neither the flashy Taoist nor the Nantian Sword God cares about the mundane struggle, but concentrates on cultivating and seeking transcendence. But today they came together, there must be something. Sure enough, the flashy Taoist got straight to the point, with a solemn expression on his face. Brother Su Hao, the two of us are here because you are about to face a catastrophe. Am I in danger? Su Hao was taken aback, and looked at the two suspiciously, not knowing what they meant. The Nantian Sword God next to him took a deep breath and said, to make a long story short, except for Cao Tiangong who fell 100 years ago, there are a total of 6 Dragon Transformation Grand Masters in this world, including you and me, and the strongest among them is the God list we recognize the number 1 Immortal Demon Lord. Longevity Demon Lord. Su Hao scratched his head. He had never heard of such a long-lived demon lord. Seeing this, Nan Tianjian said, Brother Su, it's normal that you haven't heard of it. This longevity demon master achieved the Dragon Transformation Master and unified the demon way at the age of less than 50 years ago, but after that, he didn't lust for power at all. There is almost no news of him for thousands of years, but he reappeared not long ago. The Lord of Longevity, this is a master of Dragon Transformation who was famous in the world thousands of years ago. He is older than Cao Tiangong who has passed away. He has lived for more than 1,000 years and retired at the peak of his life. He has devoted himself to secluded cultivation for thousands of years, and now not many people remember his name. You mean that the longevity demon is mainly attacking me? Su Hao is not an idiot. He thinks that the catastrophe they mentioned is from the longevity demon, but what makes Su Hao curious is that he has no grievances with the longevity demon, the other party has no reason to deal with him. The flashy Taoist nodded. That's right, the demon master of longevity practiced secretly and created a magic skill that can take away the lifespan of others and make himself live longer, but it must be a master of dragon transformation. There are already 2 other masters of dragon transformation. He has been murdered by him, and if we guessed correctly, his next target is Brother Su. You are the youngest among the Dragon Transformation Grandmasters, and you have the longest lifespan, so it is impossible for him to let you go. Su Hao was a little surprised and speechless when he heard the words. The Lord of Longevity possessed a magical skill to steal other people's life, which was only effective for the Grandmaster of Hualong. But the Dragon Transformation Masters are all hundreds of years old and started. Su Hao is the youngest Dragon Transformation Master today. In the eyes of the Longevity Demon Lord, he is undoubtedly a big piece of fat. Of course, the Longevity Demon Lord does not know that Su Hao's lifespan only a year or two left. Well, I see. Thank you both for letting me know. Su Hao nodded, thanking them for letting him know. Seeing that Su Hao looked calm and didn't seem to care, Nantian Sword God frowned slightly and said, Brother Su, this immortal demon lord is by no means comparable to anyone. The three of us join forces to fight the immortal demon lord, we have a chance of winning. Quote. The two came to Su Hao. Besides telling the Lord of Longevity, they also wanted to join forces with him. Su Hao is the Lord of Longevity's goal of extending his life, and so are they, who are masters of dragon transformation. Fighting alone, or even teaming up with two people, Nantian Sword God felt that they were more defeated than victorious, so they came to find Su Hao and prepared to join forces with him. It's like I didn't take it to heart. Hearing this, Su Hao shook his head and said, You two don't need to worry, this Longevity Demon Lord is not my opponent, it's fine if he doesn't come, if he dares to come to me. I will deal with him easily. As soon as these words came out, the corners of the mouths of Taoist Vanity and the Sword God of Nantian twitched, and they looked at Su Hao strangely. Su Hao really doesn't know who the Lord of Longevity is. Both are Dragon Transformation Masters, but the Longevity Demon Lord has the highest talent and the longest training time. He is the strongest among the 6 Dragon Transformation Grandmasters in the world. 2 other reclusive Dragon Transformation Masters have died in the hands of the Longevity Demon Lord. We can see the seriousness of the problem. Under normal circumstances, there is a gap in the fighting strength of the Dragon Masters, but one party is determined to escape, and it is difficult for the other to kill them. However, the 2 Dragon Masters were directly beheaded in the face of the Longevity Demon. The difference in strength very obvious. But now Su Hao, the youngest and weakest Dragon Transformation Grandmaster, claims that he will deal with the Longevity Demon Lord when he comes. Could it be that Su Hao's growth was too smooth, thinking that he could sweep away all opponents, and also the Lord of Eternal Life? They felt that Su Hao might have received too much flattery in the Great Xia dynasty, and his mentality was inflated. What they don't know is that Su Hao is not arrogant, but has absolute confidence in his own strength. Throughout the history of this world, there is absolutely no warrior who can be compared with him. Zhang is very strong, but he is not qualified to challenge Su Hao. The 2 of you should stay in the Imperial City, and the Lord of Longevity will be left to me to deal with. Su Hao said. It was considered a favor for the 2 of them to come and tell him about this matter, so Su Hao was willing to help them. All right. Taoist Vanity and Nantian Sword God looked at each other, saw the helplessness and wry smile in each other's eyes, sighed and nodded in agreement. In their eyes, Su Hao was too arrogant and conceited, but they had to stay in the Imperial City first. If the Lord of Longevity really came, they would definitely not be able to sit back and watch Su Hao be killed and be defeated one by the Lord of Longevity. Su Hao has been recharging his energy during this time. The flashy Taoist and the Nantian Sword God nodded slightly when they saw this, thinking that Su Hao's mouth was arrogant, but in fact he was recharging his energy with the Lord of Longevity at heart. Prepare to face the Longevity Demon Lord. However, in fact, Su Hao recharged his energy to break the void and break the limit. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye, and in the early morning of this day, there were billowing dark clouds in the sky. Looking carefully, there was a man like a demon god in the dark clouds. This man looks about 40 years old, with a burly figure and a pair of eyes that are extremely oppressive. He stands tall in the void with flying black hair, looking down. His voice is not loud, but it resounds throughout the entire Imperial City. Su Hao, I know you are here, don't hide, come out and fight, I heard that you are called a warrior, I hope you don't let me down. Is it? Other Dragon Transformation Grandmasters want to challenge Lord Martial God. In the entire Imperial City, Everyone looked up to the sky in amazement, and a master of dragon transformation appeared to challenge Su Hao. The battle between Master Hualong and Master Hualong is a scene that any warrior has imagined, but he will never be able to see in his life. Is it coming? In the Imperial City, the faces of Nantian Sword God and Taoist Vanity showed seriousness, knowing that the Lord of Longevity had really come. Hurrah! Figures flashed in the air, and the three of Su Hao appeared above the Imperial City. Four Dragon Masters. In the Imperial City, everyone swallowed their saliva again and again. 4 Dragon Transformation Grand Masters appeared all at once. This is simply an unprecedented event. These 4 represent the strongest combat power in the world. Longevity Demon Lord, retreat quickly, don't force people too much, otherwise today will be the time for you to fall. The Nantian Sword God held a divine sword and stared at the Longevity Demon Lord coldly, while Taoist Wawa also had serious eyes in his eyes. In order to live a few more years, the Demon Lord of Longevity plundered the lifespans of other Dragon Transformation Grand Masters with magic skills. The other 2 Dragon Transformation Grand Masters had already been murdered by him. Chapter 35. The Lord of Longevity. Is he the Lord of Longevity? He is still alive. Hearing the words of the Nantian Sword God above, the faces of Yuanpo, Shengguanan and others on the ground showed horror. The Lord of Longevity, a character more than 1,000 years ago, even before Cao Tiangong's rise, the Lord of Longevity was already a master of dragon transformation, invincible in the world, and then disappeared. After more than 1,000 years, he appeared again. Don't worry. Today's Emperor Sha is over 100 years old. He is extremely old and needs someone to support him. When he saw the 4 people facing each other in the sky, his eyes were filled with worry. The Lord of Eternal Life came for Su Hao. Su Hao was regarded as a god of war by the people, but facing the strongest Lord of Eternal Life, he might lose more than win. When Cao Tiangong was alive, he once said that the Lord of Eternal Life was far away above. I didn't expect you to be here, so I just caught them all in one go, so I don't have to look for them one by one. Seeing the 2 Nantian Sword Gods, the Longevity Demon Lord was a little surprised, and then the corner of his mouth curled up. All the Dragon Transformation Masters are the targets of the Longevity Demon Lord. The Longevity Demon mainly plunders their lifespans so that he can live for a while longer. The Longevity Demon Lord looked excitedly at the 3 Dragon Masters in front of him, and he murmured, "Plunder the lifespan of the 3 of you. If it goes well, I can live 200 or 300 years longer, and I will definitely have the opportunity to hit a higher level. Realm." The magic skill of plundering the lifespan practiced by the Longevity Demon Lord is very restrictive. If you plunder other people's lifespan, you will also be at risk of falling. Hearing this, Su Hao shook his head, stared at the Longevity Demon Lord and said, "Don't say 200 or 300 years, even if you live another 2,000 or 3,000 years, you will not be able to hit a higher realm." Su Hao is telling the truth. With his 1,000-year-old evildoer level aptitude, coupled with a large number of heaven and earth spirits, 100 years of hard work is equivalent to 10,000 years of work to reach the limit of this world. The Longevity Demon Lord is strong, but to reach this level, let alone 200 or 300 years, even 2,000 or 3,000 years is impossible. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of the Longevity Demon Lord became icy cold, and the murderous aura condensed into substance, causing rain of blood to drip down in the sky, as if there were evil ghosts crying. This terrifying scene made one's heart tremble. That's so scary. The Demon Lord of Longevity is far superior to us. Even if the 3 of us join forces, the chances of winning are not great. Nantian Sword God and Taoist Vanity were startled by the terrifying aura of the Demon Lord of Longevity, and their hearts sank. Even if the 3 of them joined forces, they would lose more than win. It's so scary. When the Lord of Longevity is angry, there is a sense of the world changing. Is this really the level that warriors can achieve? Yu Wenpo and the others looked at the scene of the blood rain flying in the sky, and felt chills in their hearts. The horror of this Longevity Demon Lord was beyond imagination. Boy, today I will take you first. You will all become my stepping stones and the nourishment for me to break through the limit. The Immortal Demon Lord had a ferocious expression, and Su Hao's words aroused killing intent and anger. Heavenly Demon Dadong. The Longevity Demon Lord roared, and the dark clouds rolled, rendered blood red, as if there were heads of demons roaring and rolling in it, shocking the mind and body. Rumble. The blood-colored dark cloud roared, forming a huge demon head and biting towards the three people on the opposite side. That power seemed to be descended from an extraterrestrial demon, with unparalleled divine power, distorting the void. Be careful. The Nantian sword god and Taoist vanity all shouted with numbness in their scalps, and they all gritted their teeth and prepared to do their best. Facing the longevity demon lord, they understand that even if their side has the superiority in numbers, they are most likely to be defeated. All they can do is fight with all their strength to decide the outcome of life and death. However, at this moment, Su Hao moved. The index finger and middle finger of Su Hao's right hand are put together to form a sword. There are no fancy moves, no shaking movements, just a plain sword. Chila. Su Hao used his finger as a sword, and slashed out with one sword. The 12 mysterious yin swords naturally merged into one. There was a clear and pleasant tearing sound in the air, and a jaw-dropping thing happened. This simple sword, even the void couldn't bear it, it was cut and torn apart, and a dark crack more than 10 feet wide was cut in the sky, spreading forward continuously. The power of this sword seems to have broken through the limit of this world. Laugh. The biting blood-red demon in the sky was easily torn apart like a piece of paper, and an invisible sword energy crossed the void, beheading the long-lived demon. What? The Lord of Longevity was stunned. His pupils contracted violently. He realized that something was wrong. He was worthy of being the strongest 1,000 years ago. He dodged extremely fast, which saved him from being cut in two by a single sword, but he was still doomed. Puff. The sword energy cut through, and the left half of the longevity demon lord's body was annihilated silently. Blood spurted out, sprinkled in the sky, and dripped on the ground. It really rained blood. The tumbling magic cloud dissipated, and the long-lived demon lord whose half-body was annihilated shook, almost unable to maintain the flight, but he seemed to feel no pain, staring blankly at the huge crack that hadn't healed yet, muttering to himself, lost his mind. How is it possible? How is it possible? Lost by yourself. And it was still defeated in a face-to-face meeting. This wins. Nantian sword god and vanity Taoist all wondered if their eyes were blurred. They looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. 1 second, the immortal demon lord, who was so imposing, was severely injured by Su Hao and was on the verge of death in the next second. They didn't have time to make a move. Before he was not arrogant, but he really didn't pay attention to the Lord of Longevity. His strength is unsurpassed. Nantian sword god swallowed a mouthful of saliva and was extremely shocked. Previously, he and Taoist vanity had heard Su Hao say that he could easily deal with the Lord of Eternal Life. They also thought that because Su Hao grew up so smoothly, he was arrogant and overconfident. Looking at it now, that's considered modest, and the demon Lord of Longevity is far from being able to hold a candle to him. Martial God. This is martial God. Yu Wenpo, who was already very old, trembled with excitement. He had a deep memory of Su Hao's beheading of Master Tianxi and other demon powers 100 years ago. Now that 100 years have passed, Su Hao has not stood still. His strength has reached an unfathomable level, truly invincible. Half of the longevity demon lord's body was shattered and his heart was damaged. He was bound to die. Relying on his powerful skills, he hung his breath. He stared at Su Hao, gritted his teeth and said, have you reached that step yet? To be able to defeat himself so easily, Su Hao must have reached the limit of this world, or even break through to a whole new level. But Su Hao didn't answer the longevity demon lord, but looked up. The void above twisted violently, and in the vast cloud and twisted space, a huge door with a height of 100 meters appeared. This door is simple and heavy, and its whole body is silvery white, and it exudes an aura beyond the mortal world, as if it is not a thing of the world. This is the immortal gate. Su Hao looked at the 100-meter-high giant gate that appeared in the sky. He felt something, and instantly understood what it was, and a trace of excitement could not help but appear on his face. After 100 years of hard work, Su Hao's strength has reached the limit of this world. He could feel the world's rejection of him before, and he knew that he was able to make a breakthrough, shatter the void, cross the fairy gate, and go to a brand new world, realm. And Su Hao and Cheng Shengmo took the initiative to strike out with a sword, shattering the void, showing the ultimate strength of transforming dragons. Naturally, the fairy gate in the dark void appeared, and Su Hao could feel that the silver door the fairy gate has attracted him. After crossing this fairy gate, he will transcend this world and become the first warrior in this world to soar in daylight and shatter the void. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Chapter 36. Clatter. The appearance of this silver-white gate caused surging aura, and it actually began to rain in the sky above the imperial city. This rain crystal is crystal clear, but it is not real rain, but the condensation of spiritual energy. My cultivation is breaking through. A martial artist is bathed in the spiritual energy rain, his face is full of disbelief, and he is ecstatic. He has been stuck in the acquired state for many years, but at this moment, his cultivation base is to break through the acquired limit and enter the innate state. My body seems to be getting younger. And already over 100 years old, Sha Huang, who was extremely old, was also bathed in the rain of spiritual energy from the sky. He was shocked to find that his body had become more energetic, as if he had become 10 years younger. It's not just them. In the imperial city, everyone who bathes in the spiritual energy rain has benefited. Many warriors who have been stuck have broken through in the spiritual energy rain, and many people with hidden diseases have healed without medicine. Aura rain will prolong life and prevent all diseases from invading. The root cause of this phenomenon is naturally Su Hao, who ascended to heaven alone. The appearance of the silver immortal gate stirred up a rain of spiritual energy, which benefited everyone in the nearby imperial city. Clang, clang, clang. The melodious sound of horns, bells, and various musical instruments resounded through the sky, and the huge silver fairy gate slowly opened, revealing a road leading to an unknown world, as if welcoming Su Hao ascend by day, inviting him to a whole new world. Immortal Gate. If you cross the Immortal Gate, you will transcend the mundane world and become a fairy. At this moment, no matter whether it is the flashy Taoist, the Nantian sword god or the longevity demon lord, they are all extremely excited. They understand that this is the realm they have dreamed of, crossing the fairy gate, and they will ascend to the Tao. Compared with their excitement, Su Hao, who caused all this, was extremely dignified while being excited. Because Su Hao is not from this world, but reincarnated, what would it be like for him to ascend in this world as a reincarnated person? Return directly to the main world, or ascend to another reincarnation world? Just as Su Hao was thinking, Longevity Demon Lord's eyes were full of longing and excitement. He forced a breath and flew towards the open silver fairy gate. I want to ascend. I want to become a fairy. I want to go to another world. The Lord of Longevity has only one thought in his heart, even if it is death, he still has to take a look at the realm he pursues for a lifetime. Seeing this scene, Su Hao didn't stop him. The Immortal Lord's injuries were already fatal. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. The Demon Lord of Longevity approached the fairy gate excitedly. He practiced hard for thousands of years and spared no effort to strengthen himself, in order to be able to leap out of this world and see a new world. The body of the Longevity Demon Lord sank into the open silver fairy gate. But in the next second, the Immortal Demon Lord let out a shrill scream. Inside the Immortal Gate, the tribulation light shone, causing the Longevity Demon Lord's body to disintegrate, collapse, and finally turned into fly ash, which was repelled out of the Immortal Gate and dissipated in the air. Middle. This. Fanhua Taoist and Nantian sword god all shuddered when they saw this scene, with cold sweat seeping from their foreheads. They almost couldn't hide their excitement just now. They wanted to step into the fairy gate. A fate. This fairy gate is for Su Hao. Because of Su Hao, he is the only one who can enter the fairy gate, transform and ascend. If someone else enters by force, he will be punished by heaven, and he will end up with the Longevity Demon Lord. The flashy Taoist figured out why this kind of thing happened. It is Su Hao's power reaching the limit of this world that will trigger the fairy gate to appear. Only Su Hao is eligible to enter it. It is naturally impossible for the Immortal Demon Master to ascend through this method. He directly encountered the heaven in the fairy gate. Punishment. Wiped out. Brother Su. Congratulations. Congratulations on reaching this level that no one else has ever achieved. It is our honor to witness this scene. The flashy Taoist and the Nantian sword god both had complicated and indescribable feelings towards Su Haodao, full of envy and admiration. Lord Martial God, are you going to shatter the void and ascend to the fairy world? Countless people in the imperial city watched the scene in the sky. Their hearts were so shocked that they couldn't even blink their eyes. This will be a historic moment, but they are the people who witnessed history. Countless years later, Su Hao, the first person who ascended to the fairy world, will be remembered and will live forever in endless legends. Under everyone's gaze, Su Hao approached the fairy gate slowly, with the sound of gongs and drums playing in his ears. But when he came to the fairy gate, looking at the hazy void, Su Hao stopped in his tracks, just because of the reminder sounding in his ears. Warning. You will enter another high-level world through abnormal means. It is extremely dangerous and there is a risk of the destruction of the true spirit. What Su Hao heard was the reminder from the reincarnation tower. Sure enough, I can travel from one reincarnation world to another, but it seems very dangerous, and even the true spirit may be destroyed. Su Hao was secretly surprised. Death in the reincarnation world will not be real death. Even if one dies, the true spirit will return to the body of the main world under the protection of the reincarnation tower, and will not cause damage to the body of the main world. But the destruction of the true spirit is tantamount to the disappearance of the soul, and the self in the main world will also die. Ascension from this world can indeed reach another world, and according to the meaning of the reincarnation tower, it is very likely to be a world of high martial arts, which is far from comparable to the current world of martial arts, with immortals, Buddhas, gods and demons. Although Su Hao is invincible in this world, but he went to another world of high martial arts where immortals, Buddhas, gods and demons exist. If you die, the true spirit will perish. The risk was too great for Su Hao to bear, so he stopped outside the fairy gate. What's the matter? Why didn't Su Hao enter the fairy gate? As long as he crosses the past, he can achieve an unprecedented realm. The flashy Taoist and Nantian sword god were extremely anxious, and didn't understand why Su Hao was stagnant at this moment. And the open silver fairy gate also began to slowly close at this moment. If you give up the chance to ascend, there will be no possibility of ascending again. Everyone has only one chance. Will fend for itself in this world, regret the decision I made. Seeing the gradually closing of the silver fairy gate, Taoist vanity and Nantian sword god roared in disregard of their appearance. Su Hao, why did you give up crossing the fairy gate? This is what we warriors dream of and pursue for thousands of years of hard work. These dragon masters, every wish is to shatter the void and ascend to the fairyland. But in the end, Su Hao did it, but stopped before the fairy gate and gave up what they pursued all their lives. How could they not be angry? Not excited? Su Hao remained silent, looking at the silver fairy gate that was completely closed and gradually disappearing into the void. A crazy idea came to Su Hao's heart. This silver fairy gate is connected to another world, and it is also an obstacle, a screening ascendance thing. If I destroy it, what will happen? Ascension into another world and Su Hao's current state is too dangerous. There is a possibility of the destruction of the true spirit. Su Hao can only give up, but he has a crazy idea to break the fairy gate. Anyway, if I give up the ascension, I am already invincible in this world, and I want to return to the main world. Even if I die, it doesn't matter, why not try it? Seeing the silver fairy gate about to escape into the void, Su Hao moved. Boom. The 9 yin qi in Su Hao's body erupted wildly, and his 10,000 years of cultivation changed the color of the world. His right fist formed a big handprint of subduing demons, and angrily blasted towards the fairy gate in front of him. Boom. This terrifying punch is beyond the reach of any dragon transformation grandmaster. It can break a small mountain and smash it heavily on the Bayan immortal gate. The deafening roar resounds through the world. The closed silver fairy gate trembled slightly. Chapter 37. At the same time, a force rebounded from the silver fairy gate and entered Su Hao's body. This is a counterattack from the Silver Immortal Sect. Anyone who dares to attack the Silver Immortal Sect will be regarded as a provocation and will be counterattacked by the power contained in it. Puff. Su Hao felt a sharp pain in his body, as if he had been hit hard. He opened his mouth and spit out a big mouthful of blood. Lord Valkyrie is attacking Shanman. This astonishing scene exceeded everyone's expectations. Su Hao gave up entering the fairy gate and ascended to the fairy world, but instead attacked the silver fairy gate. What the hell is he doing? The two dragon masters, Nantian sword god and Taoist Wawa, were also stunned. Interesting. There was blood on the corner of Su Hao's mouth, but instead of being surprised, he was overjoyed. Although he suffered backlash and was seriously injured and vomited blood, his punch successfully shook the Baiyan Shanman. Su Hao has never experienced this kind of hurt since he became a master of dragon transformation, which made Su Hao's blood boil and his fighting spirit was high. Ha ha ha. This fairy gate blocks the aura and selects specific people for ascension. Today I will break you open for all sentient beings, so that everyone has a chance to ascend. Su Hao laughed wildly. The fairy gate was opened just now, and a large amount of aura gushed out, forming a rain of aura. Su Hao felt that one of the purposes of the existence of this fairy gate was to block the aura. There are really very few people who cultivate into immortals. Even Su Hao relied on his only talent to reach this point, let alone other people. The talents of Cao Tiangong, Longevity Demon Lord and other dragon masters are not low, but it is almost impossible to ascend in this situation. Possible. And Su Hao wants to break the blockade and change everything. Dragon Elephant Golden Body Prajna Kung Fu. Su Hao's eyes glowed with pale golden light, and the power in his body gushed out and condensed into a substance, forming a total of 13 dragon-like giant beasts. This is Su Hao's unique trick to reach the ultimate perfection after 100 years of hard work. Hold head high. The giant dragon elephant roared and roared towards the sky. The roar of the dragon elephant shook the heavens and the earth, and it crazily rushed towards the silver fairy gate. Boom. A dragon-like monster hit the silver fairy gate. The surrounding void opened dense cracks, the silver fairy gate trembled violently, and Su Hao's dragon-like giant beast phantom was destroyed by a force and shattered. Boom 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 boom. But without stopping for a moment, the phantoms of the remaining 12 dragon elephants launched the most tragic charge, hitting the silver fairy gate one after another. This is a suicide attack. Bang bang bang. The phantoms of dragon elephants were shattered by the power of the silver immortal gate, and the lightning flashed above the silver immortal gate, which was a warning to Su Hao that if he continued to attack, he would be wiped out in ashes. Xuanian 12 swords. Su Hao ignored it directly, and activated the 12 Xuanian swords in his body. Every sword intent evolves into a sword technique that is unparalleled in the world, and it is not like the world's swordsmanship, slashing wildly towards the Baiyan immortal gate. Ka ka ka. A series of Xuanian sword intents collided with the Baiyan immortal gate, and were shattered by the flickering thunder. Master Valkyrie. The eyes of all the people who witnessed this scene turned red. This is a battle with no chance of winning, but Su Hao wants to break open the fairy gate for all sentient beings and launch a suicide attack, which is extremely tragic. Happy. Happy. Su Hao laughed wildly, his black hair flying. 9 yins returned to Yuan. 13 floors of the dragon elephant golden body. The 9 yin qi in Su Hao's body circulated, permeating every inch of muscle and every strand of hair. He clenched his fists together like a huge hammer that blasted open the gate of heaven. The monstrous divine power was condensed in this blow. Between the phantoms of the 13 dragon elephants were destroyed, and the Xuanian sword intent was also annihilated. Su Hao launched the strongest blow to Shanman with his own flesh and blood. Boom. Su Hao's nearly 10,000-year cultivated blow raged on the Baiyan immortal gate. At this moment, the sky was about to collapse. The whole world was furious, and felt furious for Su Hao's act against the heavens. Crack. There was a relieved smile on the corner of Su Hao's mouth, and the silver fairy gate in front of him finally let out a groan of overwhelmed. On the closed door, a huge hole of 1 or 2 feet was punched out. Crash. From the huge shattered hole, a huge amount of spiritual energy leaked out, centered on the imperial city, spreading in all directions, towards this world. Su, the martial god, pierced through the fairy gate. Spiritual energy is pouring out. The spiritual energy in the world is recovering, and the cultivation in this world will become easier. Nantian sword god and vanity Taoist felt the traces of spiritual energy increasing in the world, and they trembled with excitement. The meaning of the existence of Shanman is to restrain the aura of heaven and earth in this world and supply it to the fairy world. Therefore, it is so difficult for warriors in this world to practice. Normal practice. Even if it is a monster that appears once in 1,000 or 10,000 years, it will not be able to survive before the end of life. Difficult to reach the limit of soaring. But at this moment, Su Hao broke through the fairy gate and unblocked it, and the aura of heaven and earth surged towards this world, revived the aura of this world. In the future, there will be heaven and earth spirits born in this world, and all warriors will practice faster and easier in this world. Not only that, the fairy gate will be punched out, and the difficulty of ascension will also be reduced. I believe that this world will usher in an unprecedented flourishing age of cultivation. More dragon masters will be born, and even people who ascend to the fairy world will be born. Ka ka ka. The price for Su Hao to break the fairy gate was to pay everything. A crack appeared in his body, and it was disintegrating. While breaking through the fairy gate, Su Hao suffered a backlash and was bound to die. Master Valkyrie. Under everyone's gaze, Su Hao's body disintegrated with a faint smile, turned into ashes, and disappeared into the world. He sacrificed his life for those of us and broke the fairy gate. He is a Valkyrie, a real Valkyrie, a Valkyrie who paves the way for all living beings. Nantian's sword god and vanity Taoist's eyes were red, they fell to the ground, and at this moment they knelt down and bowed vigorously to the void. They are both masters of dragon transformation, but they recognize Su Hao's name as martial god in their hearts, and he is the only one who can deserve this title. Su Hao would rather give up the chance to ascend to the fairy world, and even sacrifice his own life, just to break through the fairy gate, unblock the spiritual energy, and open a road to immortality for hundreds of millions of living beings. He is a well-deserved warrior. In the imperial city, countless people knelt down on the ground with red eyes, weeping and sobbing, and even in other parts of the world, people who didn't know what happened here couldn't help but feel more sadness in their hearts, and fell down. Tears come. This day is full of sorrow. Martial God gave up becoming an immortal, and opened up the road to immortality for all living beings at the cost of his life. His fall is sympathetic to all the world. I believe that in the future, this world will usher in a blowout development, and more powerful people will be born, and there may even be strong people who surpass Su Hao and ascend to the fairy world, but only Su Hao is worthy of being called a warrior good one. The myth of the Valkyrie will be passed down through the ages and will never be extinguished. Chapter 38. On this day, the entire Great Xia dynasty and the whole world were sad, and countless people felt sad and admired for the fall of the martial god. During the Great Xia dynasty, the palace where Su Hao lived became a sacred place for warriors. It was called the Palace of the God of War, and statues were erected. Countless warriors were eager to come to this holy place to see the demeanor of the God of War. Even if thousands of years pass, people will remember this martial god who gave up becoming a fairy and opened up a path to immortality for all living beings. He will be immortal. Alas, Shangguan Nan sighed. He still remembered the first time he met Su Hao, and witnessed Su Hao's rise. Now that 100 years have passed, Shangguan Nan felt that he would definitely die before Su Hao, but he never expected that Su Hao would make such a choice and die before him. Su Hao doesn't know what the world will be like in the future, but he has done everything he can. Of course Su Hao is not as noble as Shangguan Nan and the others think. He did this only for himself. Anyway, he is about to return to the main world. So what if he is crazy? After breaking the fairy gate, Su Hao was shattered by the counterattack of the fairy gate, his body was shattered, he was wiped out, and he lost consciousness. But Su Hao naturally didn't really die. He felt like he had a very long dream. His true spirit was roaming in the endless void. At this moment, he was pulled by a force and quickly returned to the main world, in the body. The main world, the Tower of Reincarnation. In a daze, Su Hao woke up from his lethargic state. It's like a dream. Su Hao opened his eyes, and a wry smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. When Su Hao woke up, he was no longer the invincible warrior known as the God of War who broke through the immortal gate, but just an ordinary boy. But the imprint of reincarnation shining on his hand, as well as the 100 years of experience, let Su Hao understand that it was not a dream, but a real occurrence. I'm back. Su Hao found himself in front of the huge ball of light in the Samsara Tower, and on the back of his hand, a Samsara mark was shining. Although hundreds of years have passed in the reincarnation world, only one day has passed in the main world, and this reincarnation is over. Call. Su Hao felt a force of repulsion from the light ball in the Samsara Tower. Su Hao himself was repelled out of the Samsara Tower uncontrollably, and appeared at the entrance of the Samsara Tower thousands of feet high. On the square of Tianfang Academy in Tianfang City, rays of light flashed one after another. The other candidates who participated in the reincarnation trial all returned from the reincarnation world. Most of them, like Su Hao, are still adapting to the short time of returning from the reincarnation world. At a loss. But more teenagers were either elated or sighed in frustration. It's so annoying. I was reincarnated into a world of martial arts. I started as a disciple of a martial arts sect. It was a good start, but in the end, another hostile martial arts sect came and killed our sect within a few days. Our sect was destroyed. Just after reaching the 3rd level of body training, he died in battle, and only got an F-level evaluation. A tall boy gritted his teeth. His face was full of anger and helplessness, even a little desperate. The tall boy had mixed luck. He was reincarnated into a world of low-level martial arts. He was very lucky to be a disciple of a martial arts sect at birth, and he was able to get in touch with martial arts immediately. The tall boy decided to grow up for decades before going out to venture out. He didn't wait for him to become stronger, and the enemy sect called him. As an ordinary disciple, he directly died in battle. The tall boy only got an F-level evaluation, which is very poor, and the reincarnation points he got are only 20 points. The most important thing is that the major reincarnation forces, the minimum standard for recruiting reincarnations is generally D level. In other words, this time the tall boy enters the reincarnation world and it will be the last time he enters the reincarnation world. Without the needs of the reincarnation forces, you can't become a professional reincarnator. You will have no chance to reincarnate in your future life. You can only be an ordinary person. Ha ha ha. I have traveled to a primitive age. There was no iron in this era. Fortunately, I usually study hard and rely on the knowledge in my mind to make farm tools, refine metals, and make sharp swords. I have successfully gathered a group of primitive people. Established a primitive tribe, became the chieftain, obtained a D-level evaluation, 300 reincarnation points. If I hadn't been rebelled by other people in the tribe and was seriously injured and died, I could have gotten a higher evaluation. Fortunately, the D-level evaluation has already reached the passing line. Not surprisingly, there should be reincarnated forces who are willing want me. A boy wearing glasses is very proud, with a smile on his face. I arrived in a world of cultivating immortals, and I was reincarnated as an ordinary person without spiritual roots. I never had the chance to step on the road of cultivating immortals. The evaluation of the reincarnation tower is only F level, which is too unfair. There are also people who are full of anger and powerlessness. There is no reincarnation point to choose the identity after reincarnation, and it is over before it even started. Some people are happy and some are sad, and the vast majority of people are full of sadness. After all, those who can stand out in the world of reincarnation and achieve great achievements are a minority. Except for those reincarnated who spent reincarnation points and started dreamy, most people are just ordinary people after reincarnation. How can an ordinary person rise up in a completely different world? Look at what level my evaluation is. Su Hao heard the lively discussions around him, but he was also a little excited and couldn't wait to touch the reincarnation mark on the back of his hand to check his evaluation of this reincarnation trial. Open black lens bracket reincarnator. Su Hao close black lens bracket. Number of reincarnations, 1. Open black lens bracket reincarnation world. Martial arts world close black lens bracket. Achievement achieved. Coercion in the world, invincible through the ages. There is no one before, the god of martial arts. Break through the fairy gate and return to heaven and earth. Open up the fairy road, and all living beings will praise it. Close black lens bracket. Rating. SSS level, highest rating. Get reincarnation points. 50,000 points. Additional reward. The highest exchange authority in the world can be exchanged for any item in the world. Chapter 39. SSS level. Su Hao's breathing became a little short, and a smile appeared on his face involuntarily. SSS level. Top rating. Even though it had been expected, Su Hao was still extremely ecstatic in his heart. In the world of reincarnation, Su Hao's achievements surpassed all the people in that world. Not only did he become the strongest in history, but he also broke through the gate of immortality and returned the aura of heaven and earth to heaven and earth. It can be said that the impact it caused was indelible. Su Hao has even become a myth in that world, extolled by countless people. Under such circumstances, I still can't get the SSS rating, and Su Hao couldn't figure out how to get it. As for the SSS level evaluation, the reincarnation point rewards obtained are as much as 50,000 points. In addition, it is the exchange authority. Su Hao has the highest exchange authority. In other words, he can directly exchange all his combat power at the peak of his combat power in the reincarnation world, which is very important. Only those who have a high enough exchange authority can exchange some things in the experience world, otherwise, even if they have enough reincarnation points, they cannot be exchanged. This is also reasonable. If you don't need to exchange permission, you can exchange anything. If an ordinary person is lucky enough to enter the world with immortals, Buddhas, gods and demons, wouldn't he be able to reach the sky in one step and directly become immortals, Buddhas, gods and demons? This reincarnation trial has produced a lot of outstanding talents. Well, in our school's reincarnation trial this time, the Wang family brothers all got AC level evaluation, and Zhang Kuang, also AC level, has produced 3 C level outstanding talents. The teachers of Tianfang Academy looked at the happy or sad students in the square, and they all had smiles on their faces. Under normal circumstances, in the first reincarnation trial, getting AD level evaluation is considered the lowest level for recruiting reincarnation forces. Generally, there will be reincarnation forces willing to recruit, and there is a great chance to become a professional reincarnation. If D level is common, then C level is considered excellent, and it is almost certain to be able to enter the reincarnation force and become a professional reincarnation. Those who are below D level will be judged as having little potential and not suitable for reincarnation, and it will be difficult for them to enter the reincarnation tower for a lifetime. This time, Tianfang Academy has 3 C level outstanding talents, which is quite good. All 3 of them were born in reincarnated families, or their parents were reincarnated. It doesn't matter if you don't become a reincarnator, the big deal is to live a peaceful life in the future. Ha ha ha. My son has AD level evaluation, and he will definitely become a professional reincarnator, honoring his ancestors. Outside the school, there are already a large number of waiting parents who have entered Tianfang Academy. After learning about their children's situation, some are comforting their children who did not perform well in the test, and some are excitedly praising them. Seeing this scene, Su Hao sighed secretly. His parents were both reincarnations, but unfortunately they encountered an unknown crisis during one reincarnation, and their true spirits fell immediately. A professional reincarnation, dancing on the tip of a knife, enters some dangerous worlds, and even the true spirit cannot return. At this time, a young man in the square had red eyes. He stared at Su Hao and roared, "Su Hao! You bastard, you made me fail the trial. I'll never end with you. You must pay the price." This boy is none other than Li Feng. 1 year after entering the reincarnated world, Su Hao and Li Feng accidentally reincarnated into the same reincarnated world, and there was a conflict between the 2 sides. As a result, Su Hao easily killed Li Feng, and the absorption obtained from him Xing Dafa has helped me a lot. And Li Feng died and returned to the main world, but because he was killed by Su Hao, he didn't get any achievements. The reincarnation tower evaluation he got was only F level, and the reincarnation points he got were only 10 points, which was not enough to make up for what he spent. The good birth purchased with 3,000 reincarnation points not only suffered a heavy loss, but it is also very likely that no reincarnation force would accept him. In Li Feng's opinion, all of this is thanks to Su Hao. Su Hao glanced at Li Feng, and didn't bother to pay attention to him. At that time, Li Feng wanted to take the initiative to deal with Su Hao. He wanted Su Hao to die and return to the main world. After living in the reincarnation world for more than 100 years, Su Hao almost forgot about Li Feng. But for Su Hao, who received an SSS level evaluation, Li Feng is no longer on the same level as him, so there is no need to care about it. What? Fenger only got an F level rating. And a pair of middle-aged men and women with extraordinary bearing were about to step up to ask about Li Feng's situation. When they heard Li Feng's words, they were all taken aback. These two are Li Feng's parents, two professional reincarnations. In their expectation, with the reincarnation points given by them, Li Feng must pass the trial easily, but what he never expected was that Li Feng would get the evaluation as only F grade, which is basically the lowest evaluation. Dad, Mom, it's Su Hao. It was this kid who killed me in the reincarnation world, and made my evaluation so low. He must pay the price. When Li Feng saw these two people, he immediately let out an extremely resentful cry, just like a child who has been wronged, and called his parents. It was you who made my son's trial fail. Li Feng's father, a majestic, nearly 40-year-old man with a burly figure, looked at Su Hao with an undisguised coldness in his eyes. It's Li Feng's father, Li Yuan. Li Feng's father, Li Yuan, and mother, Zhang Xiaochun, are both professional reincarnations. Did Su Hao provoke them? It seems that Su Hao killed Li Feng in the reincarnation world, which caused his low evaluation. This is a life and death enmity. Everyone in the square fell silent and looked towards the field. Li Feng suffered a disadvantage in the hands of Su Hao. Li Feng's parents obviously want to stand up for him. It's me. Su Hao frowned and said calmly. If it was Su Hao in the past, he would definitely be subconsciously afraid of professional reincarnators, but after 100 years of experience in the reincarnation world, Su Hao's mind has already been sharpened far beyond ordinary people, and he is also very calm when facing reincarnators. Very good. How are you going to settle the account that my son suffered heavy losses, and may not even have the chance to become a professional reincarnator? Li Yuan's eyes shone coldly, and there was a trembling aura exuding from his body. Mr. Li, this is Tianfeng Academy, please don't threaten our students here. At this time, a teacher from the academy came over and tried to persuade him. Roll. However, Li Yuan turned his head and scolded in a cold voice. There was a terrifying force in his voice, which made the teacher grunt and stagger back pale. Seeing this scene, Su Hao's face became slightly gloomy. Li Feng's parents were both arrogant and rude people. Relying on the fact that they were reincarnated, they completely ignored ordinary people. Su Hao was not polite at the moment, and said coldly, "What do you want to calculate?" Li Feng at the side thought that Su Hao had given up, and that an ordinary person would die in vain even if he was killed in the face of a reincarnated person. At that moment, Li Feng smiled and said proudly, "Su Hao, although you failed my trial, I am magnanimous. You kneel down in front of everyone to apologize, and compensate me for the damage. In addition, sign a contract. In the future, to be my servant in time, you have to repay me 30,000 reincarnation points to restore your freedom, and now I can forgive you." Li Feng thought very well. Even if he killed Su Hao, it would not change the result, but judging from the reincarnation world, Su Hao at that time had that kind of strength, and the evaluation he achieved in the end was definitely not low. Definitely, if it's D level or even an excellent C level, it's no problem to become a professional reincarnator. That being the case, let Su Hao become his slave, and all the reincarnation points earned in the future will belong to him. Unless he is compensated with 30,000 reincarnation points, he can regain his freedom. 30,000 reincarnation points. This is an astronomical figure. Su Hao basically has to work for him all his life. This is more relieved than killing Su Hao directly. Li Feng's family is too domineering. What can we do? Su Hao is just an ordinary person and has no backing. Li Yuan and Zhang Xiaochun, who were reincarnated, killed him, and he died in vain. The other students around were angry at the dominance of Li Feng's family, but there was nothing they could do about it. Professional reincarnators and ordinary people were completely different classes. Even if professional reincarnators killed ordinary people, it would not be a big deal. Su Hao also had a killing intent in his heart. Li Feng's family and himself are enemies. Since they are enemies, then they have to lose their threat forever. This is also Su Hao's determination to kill after 100 years of training in the reincarnation world. Chapter 40. Su Hao looked at Li Feng and the others with sharp eyes, and said coldly, "What happened to Li Feng is purely self-inflicted, and it is delusional for you to ask me to compensate you, and besides, I challenge you to a life and death battle. Live or die." Everyone thought that Su Hao was going to give in, but his words surprised everyone in the audience. Su Hao challenged Li Feng's family, and it was a life and death battle. Live or die. Su Hao, don't be impulsive. Li Feng's parents are both second-order reincarnators. If 100 ordinary people are tied together and face them, they will be easily slaughtered. The teacher in Su Hao's class was taken aback, and quickly stopped him, saying, Su Hao, this is an act of courting death. As for Li Feng, Li Yuan, and Zhang Xiaochun, they all looked at each other with strange expressions in their eyes. And Zhang Xiaochun already had a sinister smile on the corner of her mouth. She said loudly, okay. We are willing to accept the challenge, and we swear by the true spirit, regardless of life or death. You're dead. Li Feng also grinned grimly. Fearing that Su Hao would repent, the three of them directly accepted the challenge and swore by their true spirit that this duel would not end. It's over. Even though Su Hao may have some strength in the reincarnation world, but after leaving the reincarnation world, the strength in the reincarnation world will not return together. The teachers of Tianfang Academy frowned. The strength obtained in the reincarnation world cannot be brought back, because in essence, the soul reincarnates into the reincarnation world, and then returns. Just a normal guy. And the reincarnation points required for this are not affordable for a trainee reincarnation who has only experienced one reincarnation. Under such circumstances, Su Hao challenged a professional reincarnator, which is undoubtedly courting death, but Li Yuan and others have accepted the challenge, and the ending cannot be changed. Husband, break this kid's limbs first. Don't let him die too easily. He caused Fenger's reincarnation trial to fail. Even if the two of us are professional reincarnations, I'm afraid we will have to ask for help and pay a huge price. Only then can he get the chance to enter the reincarnation world again. Zhang Xiaochun was full of resentment towards Li Yuandao. Li Feng only got an F-level evaluation in the reincarnation trial this time, and he must have to enter the reincarnation world to prove himself again, and the price they have to pay for this is very high, and it will hurt their muscles and bones, all thanks to Su Hao. Thanks, so we can't let Su Hao die too easily. Okay, I know. Li Yuan responded. His eyes glowed blood red, he stepped forward, and his body changed dramatically. Ka ka ka. Li Yuan's body swelled rapidly, becoming a full 2 meters tall. Muscles all over his body quickly knotted together, and silver hair grew all over his body. One head turned into a ferocious wolf head, and his hands were also turned into sharp claws. In just 1 or 2 breaths, Li Yuan transformed from the appearance of a man into a burly werewolf with a height of 2.2 meters. Good. What a terrifying breath. The students around couldn't help stepping back one after another. Their eyes were full of fear. Just looking at the werewolf incarnate by Li Yuan, a natural fear arose in their hearts. Just like a mouse meeting a cat, it was the natural enemy. Biological modification. Is the werewolf enhanced? Seeing this scene, Su Hao was slightly surprised, and judged Li Yuan's strengthening route. Biological transformation, which is also a major faction among reincarnators, takes the road of transforming the body, such as werewolves, vampires and so on belong to this faction. Enhancement is all round, whether it is agility or strength response, they are all excellent. Zzz. Li Yuan moved his body, rubbing a pair of wolf claws. The sharp claws were like metal rubbing, bursting out a series of sparks, which made the body feel the sharpness of cutting iron like mud. Li Yuan looked at Su Hao with a half smile. Boy, are you ready? How can you challenge the strength of a professional reincarnator? Su Hao shook his head. Li Yuan is a second-order reincarnator, strengthened by a werewolf, and his aura is similar to that of an innate warrior. As a second-order reincarnator, Li Yuan, if his strength is converted into a warrior in the reincarnation world, it is probably equivalent to a warrior at the innate level. This made Su Hao feel confident. His fingers touched the reincarnation mark on the back of his right hand, and he said silently, exchange for my peak strength in the reincarnation world. Ding. You need to consume 30,000 reincarnation points. Do you want to exchange them? Su Hao heard the reminder from the reincarnation tower. The strength obtained by exchanging the reincarnation world consumes a lot, and Su Hao's peak strength needs to consume a full 30,000 reincarnation points. Su Hao's level evaluation, more than half of the reincarnation points obtained. Exchange. Su Hao chose to exchange without hesitation. Boom. With the deduction of 30,000 reincarnation points, a force injected into Su Hao's body from the deep void, and transformed his physical body, making Su Hao's body rapidly become stronger, and rapidly promoted to the level of Su Hao. In the reincarnation world, he was exactly the same as himself at his peak. The power of Dragon Elephant, Biming Divine Art, 9 Yin Stellar Chi, Zan Yin Sword Intent. All the strengths Su Hao acquired have returned to Su Hao's real body in the world of Lord Su Hao, the long-lost powerful feeling. Even Su Hao showed a slight smile. This is the strength he has acquired after hard work in the reincarnation world for 100 years. You still dare to laugh? You won't understand what fear is until I tear off your limbs. Seeing the smile on the corner of Su Hao's mouth, Li Yuan was furious. The blood in his eyes gleamed, and without much hesitation, he directly attacked Su Hao. Roar! With a low growl, the werewolf-like figure of Li Yuan flashed, dragging a series of afterimages, and rushed towards Su Hao at a speed that humans could never possess. 5 dagger-like daggers popped out from the tip of a right claw. The sharp claws were slashing out at Su Hao's right arm, intending to cut one of Su Hao's right arms into several pieces. Ah! On the square, many students and even teachers screamed in shock, unable to bear to see the next scene. However, the imagined scene where one of Su Hao's arms was cut off did not happen. Puff puff. With a slight movement of Su Hao's mind, green sword shadows shone in the air, forming a sword net. Li Yuan's claws hit the Xuanian sword armor formed by the Xuanian sword intent, and a series of cutting sounds sounded immediately. Li Yuan's arm was completely strangled and smashed into pieces. Ah! My hand. Li Yuan stared blankly at the splattered blood and his shattered right arm that had been completely strangled. A sharp pain hit him, which made him react, and he couldn't help but let out a miserable scream. What's going on? Everyone in Tianfang Academy was stunned when they saw Li Yuan howling and screaming in the arena. They never expected such a situation to happen. Li Yuan is a reincarnated person whose strength has reached the 2nd level. Husband. Zhang Xiaochun was stunned for a moment, then came back to his senses and let out an angry cry. I am going to kill you. A trace of ferocity appeared on Zhang Xiaochun's slightly charming face. She was muttering something silently. In the air around her, a large amount of unknown power was attracted to form a shape that was visible to the naked eye. Tall, huge tornado. Is it a magician? Seeing this scene, Su Hao judged that Xiaochun's root should be a magician, and like Li Yuan, he belonged to the 2nd-level reincarnator. Zhang Xiaochun is a 2nd-level reincarnator, and he is strengthened by a high-level magician who is good at attacking. At this time, he condenses the magic elements and forms a huge tornado 10 feet high, sweeping towards Su Hao madly, trying to engulf him into it. Chopped into minced meat. However, in the eyes of Su Hao, who has recovered to his peak state, this appears to be no threat. Roar! Su Hao took a deep breath, and the 9 yin gang qi gathered in his chest. The next second, he opened his mouth and let out a roar that shook the sky. There is no phase sound. Ka ka ka. A series of sound waves visible to the naked eye emerged in the air and spread out in all directions. Wherever they passed, the earth was vibrated into dense cracks, and the masonry was shattered by the vibration. The 10-foot-tall tornado was even more defeated under the impact of Wuxiang Yinggang, and was shattered by the shock. The shattered wind blades rolled back one after another, cutting cracks in the surrounding ground. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.